Thanks for pressing play on this video. On this episode of Tune Out, we're sending one of our lucky YouTube subscribers to a CFL game of their choice.
The Tuned Out CFL podcast with Travis Currah and Sheldon Jones starts now.
And one of my favorite comments on YouTube over the last week or so was, I just came to YouTube from Spotify and listening at 1.25 times. So hearing the intro in regular speed, it was really throwing them off. That was I must sound like a real stoner in regular speed if you're used to listening at super speed. I can't be that flattering. I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, and I must sound like a chipmunk or something because but I listen to podcasts at 1.4 speed.
You do?
I do. It is weird when music happens, but I get through a podcast a lot quicker than I normally would. So Joe Balaneski is the one who told me he listens to like 1.5, I think, and I tried 1.5 and that was too fast, but I was able to 1.4 is good.
I am terrible at managing time, so maybe I should get in on this whole listening to podcasts on super speed thing. I might be able to get a lot more things listened to and a lot more things done. So week 7 of the CFL season is in the books, but on one of our latest episodes of the show, we had promised to give away CFL tickets to a game of a YouTube subscriber's choice. So I actually put all of the comments. I don't think I can edit this into the video, but it's all in this rainbow sort of wheel right now, and I'm going to press go right now. We're doing the draw to see who's going to be able to go to a CFL game of their choice. Labor Day, a very popular one, whether it's Regina in Hamilton, and the winner is, let's see, the HB Sauce. Okay. Let's see what HB Sauce commented, because everybody commented what game they would like to go to. Okay, this is going to take me a while to find that comment. There are like 200 on this thing. So as we're going along, congratulations to HB Sauce. For the time being, let's go through the games in week 7, and I'll try to work on that situation. We started in Montreal, where the Alouettes beat the Argos 26-25. But for a long time in this game, Sheldon, it looked like it was the Argos that were going to take this one to the bank and improve to 2-4 on the season. These two teams have been close rivals over the past little while in the East Division. And Davis Alexander making his return to the lineup for the Alouettes. Didn't really have that offense in sync, but interestingly enough, despite having a weak rush defense, if you just look at the stats, the Argos, the Alouettes didn't bother running the ball for almost the entire first half.
Yeah, it was strange. It was kind of funny watching this game because I actually made my first ever CFL bet or just sports bet in general on this game. Actually, I actually signed up and put some money in one of those sport books, and I had $20 or $10 in there because there was a welcome bonus or something, and I was just looking and this thing flashed up and it said bonus bet or super turbo something, I don't know, and it said Montreal winning but by either 7 or between 7 and 12, and so I was like, yeah, I think Montreal is going to do that, so I laid down the bet. And then of course the game started and the Argos kind of pulled away a little bit there, and so I was like, oh, of course, because I bet. But it was interesting. It was definitely interesting watching a game actually having money on the line. I'd never done that before, and so
how did you feel?
Kind of frustrating when you get to the end of the game and there's an interception and you see a guy go down instead of trying to run for a touchdown, which would have been monumental for me, or other things. But yeah, no, I understand why people do it. Maybe next time, hopefully, I'll get the excitement of the win. But yeah, I'm down $10, I guess, in my betting. life so far.
So were you rattled? Were you like, well, I'm done. This is stupid.
No, I wasn't
do you
rattled.
want more of it?
Well, I'm going to do more. I just got to figure it out. But I was just like, yeah, figures. Like, of course, if I want something to happen, it's going to be the opposite. But then maybe I'll just stick to the money line instead of the spreads and stuff. Because I figured Montreal was going to win. So I would have got maybe a little bit of money. But
it is the spreads I find that get really frustrating. And you bet on like a specific, like the Owls could win between like 7 and 12 points or something like that. So they won, but you didn't win the bet. I feel like that's almost more frustrating. You'd rather Argos just win. Then my whole bet's down the toilet. But anyway. Yeah. I get it. I'm not a pro either. I'm good at losing and wasting money though. So if you want advice on that, I can help you out.
Yeah, well, I'm getting some advice from another person on a heater, but I don't want to become like that. So
I worked at the fair all weekend here in Red Deer. Let's just say all of that money that I made was reinvested into the fair. Corn dogs.
A couple corn dogs, yeah.
Mini donuts, barbecue, beer. Man, yeah, I had a lot of fun. But I did get to MC the RCMP musical ride, which was actually a really cool experience in Red Deer. I don't know much of anything about horses except that they are a horse and they're big, but man, I got to learn so much about that. That was a really cool experience, sort of a Canadian institution that's sticking around in Alberta. I think they're going to St. Paul and they're going to Lloydminster. So if you're in those areas, and go check out the RCMP musical ride. So the Argos, they got on the board first here, they were actually moving the ball really well with the run game in the first half. And I must say, Mac Mahan being back into the lineup and them referencing the pronunciation at the end of the first half, Milt Stiegel's return to the panel, Stiegel? I don't know how we're going to say Stiegel going forward, but that just put a big old smile on my face.
It was very funny. I loved it. I love seeing Milt back in there, and it is kind of interesting, but I guess, if people in your family tell you that they want people to start pronouncing your name wrong or right, I guess you got to listen to it. It's not the first time.
No.
With Metier and, like other people, right? So I guess Michael Riley, that was a big one. That took me a long time to add that Eichel. But yeah, it was good to see Stiegel back, and I'm not gonna say Stiegel. Sorry, buddy. I will, however, pop every single time you say Mac Mahan Stadium.
There was actually a comment on YouTube wondering why the heck we do it. Well, I hope you caught the Alouettes Argos game. That's a little bit of why we do it. DeMonte Coxey, he gets the first touchdown for the Toronto Argonauts. And then the next drive, Tavares McFadden intercepts Davis Alexander, and Mac Mahan is in the end zone. It's 17-4 Argos and 18-7 Argos at halftime before the third quarter, where the Argos, their very first drive of the second half, 8 plays, 84 yards, David Ungerer's into the end zone, and the Argos are up 25-7. So if you listened at the very beginning, that's where it stopped for the Argos. And then the Alouettes, they got their rhythm back, man. And Davis Alexander remains undefeated in his young career and apparently has won 68 pickleball games in a row and has beaten, is it Tyler Snead at NHL hockey? 25 games in a row? I feel like we got to set up an NHL booth at the Grey Cup. I want to take him on. I want to see his skills.
Yeah, I suck at all those games, but it'd be fun to play.
You'd think you'd be able to sneak a win in 24 games.
Well, you would think, but it's like, is he one of those guys who's like always the home team, so he gets to go up twice and down once? Like that's because if that's the case, then he's a cheating scumbag. No shit. Yeah, it's I guess all he does is win. Just call him DJ Khaled, I guess. I don't know. But unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be a little bit before he's going to get to have another chance to see if he can break this record.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But he did come back with a... it looked like that hamstring was still bugging him. And at moments in the game, it did seem like he was favoring it a little bit. Hey, young guy, recovers quickly, can maybe get past some of that pain here and there. It would catch up to him later in this game, so we will get to that. What I found just crazy here is that they were really avoiding using Sean Thomas Erlington for some reason. Travis Tice as well. Actually, there was a moment in the game. Well, we'll get to that too, because James Letcher Jr. goes down. Travis Tice ends up having to return, and it becomes a little bit of an adventure in the fourth quarter. But Sean Thomas Erlington, he only had 7 carries, 21 yards. So once he started carrying the ball, still 3 yards a carry. You'd hope for more than that. He did have a touchdown on the ground, 2 catches for 15 yards. So it just seemed like the Argos had really the superior game plan, I thought, in this game. And it looked like they were well on their way to victory until it all just fell apart.
Well, yeah, but it also seems like the Argos kind of got away from the run too. Like you said earlier,
they did.
They were running the ball, and McMahon was, he had a 4.6 yard average in the 7 carries he had, but he only had 7 carries. When especially when you're up on a team and you're winning, you want to run the ball more so you can run the clock more. Like I kind of just don't understand. But both teams didn't run the ball. Like, you have 12 carries for the Argos and you have 16 carries for Montreal. So I would say this is kind of like low scoring when you take into account that it seemed like they were just trying to chuck the ball and win that way, because 40 passes for Arbuckle, 39 passes for Davis. So it was weird. The stat line is really weird for how this game kind of went. It was just a tale of 2 teams clicking at opposite ends on offense, and the other team's defense not being able to stop them.
Yeah, it's like, is Kevin Mittal, the running game for the Argos? This guy, he's a target monster. They're throwing his way nonstop. Yeah,
he's great. Like, he's when he catches the ball 10 times on 12 targets, you can't ask really for much more than that. And 77 yards, like, he had a great game.
He did. Now, there was a moment here. This is getting late in the game. Sean Thomas Erlington gets his 3-yard touchdown, and that ends up making it 25-20, and the Owls can't pull off the 2-point conversion to pull in with the 1 field goal there. And then Josh Haggerty punts it off Travis Tice. He fumbles it. They're able to recover it. They got really lucky there. And then Davis Alexander hits Cole Speaker 48 yards. He's down to almost the 1-yard line. Derek Sluka with... you remember him from a few weeks ago? The 2 returns?
We remember.
Both in the triple digits. Makes this amazing play. And Tavares McFadden, you remember last week when there was a fumble in the end zone, the defender punts, or, it was Dedrick Mills, right?
Yeah.
Bats it out of the back of the end zone. So it's not their ball. And then McFadden, he picks it up. So there's a change of possession right in the end zone. The Argos get the ball at the 30-yard line with a 5-point lead. Wow, like what a sequence with 2.5 minutes left in the game there. You thought, hey, the Argos are going to escape with this. Tavares McFadden, by the way, looked like he got banged up earlier in the game, gets an interception, recovers a fumble. He had a heck of a game for Toronto.
He did, yeah. And, coming back after getting banged up, that's just shows that some of these players are warriors. But yeah, it honestly just felt like, Toronto was going to be able to get out of there with that win. And, maybe it didn't seem like Montreal even deserved it at that point. But, kudos to them for being able to reset from that, get a stop, and then, the rest is history.
2 plays later, Sean Oakman gets into the backfield, sacks Nick Arbuckle, forces the fumble, recovers the fumble. It is Montreal ball on Toronto's 21-yard line. They hit Charleston Rambo, and then Davis Alexander runs it into the end zone to put the Alouettes up 26-25, under 2 minutes to go. So much excitement because they've got the lead, but at the same time, it's bittersweet because his teammates surround him. They look like they're ready to celebrate, and he's very subdued, saying, nope, he grabbed the hamstring. He left the game, and we find out he's on the 6-game injured list. That doesn't mean, and we've already seen instances of it this year, he may not remain there for the whole 6 games, but sometimes these soft tissue injuries, man, you push it too early, and that might be what happened here. Took a wrong step and tweaks that hamstring again. But what an effort. And I mean, a warrior throughout the game, clearly uncomfortable, gets another win for the Alouettes, but it came at a price for sure.
Yeah, and the Alouettes have been a pretty different team without him in the lineup. McLeod Bethel-Thompson really hasn't been that veteran insurance that I think they were hoping for. So it's going to be interesting to see how he can go with, I guess, having a lot more time and reps and practice and see if he can get back to, what he is. And that's just a really good quarterback. And he doesn't really turn the ball over often. He's able to sustain long drives. Like he's been a top level quarterback. So Montreal's going to need him now, because if Alexander is out for 6 games and McLeod isn't able to figure it out, even Ottawa might have a chance in the Eastern Division at that point.
The Argos did get the ball back with time, but that Montreal defense stepped up when it mattered. KB and Ento picks him off with a minute to go. The Alouettes were able to kill the clock at that point and take the victory home. But, the Alouette defense, at times, they looked human. They weren't able to really pressure Nick Arbuckle and get in his face. And then all of a sudden, the switch flipped in the second half, and they made the plays at the perfect times, and they brought the win home for the Alouettes. So the Argos here, they're still waiting on their starting quarterback, Chad Kelly. From what I understand, the broken leg may have healed, but maybe the muscles around it are kind of the problem right now. They weren't in use for a long time as the leg healed, and maybe those early estimates of when he would return were a little bit too optimistic, and then it just seems it piles on top of each other. We've seen this with the poor teams for a while, Edmonton and Ottawa over the past couple of years, where all of a sudden you start getting desperate, and maybe that's when you make more mistakes here, but it all just seemed to come crashing down at once for Toronto with interceptions and fumbles, and it all happened right in the fourth quarter at a terrible time.
Yeah, they're another team that they need to figure it out. And I think I saw either Naylor or Farhan said that they think that Chad Kelly might actually be able to practice on Tuesday and Wednesday and see how it looks. So I guess for the Argos, that's pretty important. But regardless, they have to figure it out too, because, they are tied with Ottawa for one win each. And, Ottawa, we'll talk about that later, I guess. But they head into the bye with some questions, and Toronto has an opportunity to try to get one leg up on them here if they're able to find a way to win next week. So it, it's early. I know it's just the first third of the season, but it's desperate times for, two or three teams in the league. They have to figure their stuff out relatively quick.
So I guess right now the crossover remains in play. I know there's 11 games to go for Ottawa, 12 games to go for the rest of the East Division. But BC 4th in the West, 3-4, and the Argos and the RedBlacks, they got to make up some ground if they want to stay in the playoff hunt with that crossover in play. Kevin Mattel, the leading receiver for the Argos, 10 catches on 12 targets, 77 yards. Mac Mahon, he did have 32 yards rushing, had a touchdown there, and 35 yards through the air. DeMonte Coxie, 5 catches, 36 yards, and a touchdown. Nick Arbuckle, 28 of 40, 2 TDs and an interception. Davis Alexander had a 300-yard game, a touchdown and a pick. There goes 26 of 39. And then Cole Speaker, what a game for him. 9 catches on 13 targets and a touchdown. Well, maybe we're talking about the game a little bit differently, because if that fumble ended up, costing the Alouettes at the end, maybe it's not as celebrated, but a heck of a game he had there. A fun moment, I thought, in the fourth quarter. Wynton McManus has to leave the game, and he tried to get back onto the field 2 plays instead of 3 plays later. So he got sent off the field smiling.
Yeah,
it was worth a shot.
Oh, for sure. And he's missed so much time that he just wants to get back in there already. So I get it.
Man, Tavares McFadden, he did all he could. 2 knockdowns, 2 tackles, an interception, a fumble recovery. He did his job on the Toronto defense, but just not quite enough. There's something about Davis Alexander that he just keeps racking up those wins. That's the first 8, tying Danny McManus for the best start to a CFL career. However, when do we stop counting it? When there's breaks in between and injuries and all that kind of thing, it's I guess it still counts the same.
Yeah, it still counts. I guess it's not his fault that he can't start the next game, right? So, we assume. But he's still, when he starts the game, he has never lost. So, and apparently that's pickleball and NHL like that too. So, maybe he's gonna have some more time, it seems, to play some NHL. Unfortunately, but who knows what's going to happen. Everyone's going to be watching that next game that he does get to start, though, and see if he is able to take that record and have it all by himself.
So HB Sauce is the winner of the CFL tickets. I just was scrolling through the comments as we've been going through this game. He's loved to take his brother to any Rider game. He does live in Alberta, usually sees him here in Edmonton. So HB Sauce will be in touch. The Riders are in Edmonton, I believe September 27th off the top of my head. So we'll get him some tickets to that game, or maybe he wants to see him play the Stamps on the 23rd of August, depending where he is in Alberta. But I'll hit him back. Congrats on winning those tickets there. This arguably one of the most exciting, the unlikely results. Or I guess maybe we just have to face it, and this is what it is. Because I went to bat, for your predictions, somebody saying, Calgary's above Winnipeg on the power rankings. Why are you picking Winnipeg to win? And I basically said Winnipeg at home, Winnipeg off the bye. Calgary went to Regina. They played through the delay. The deck was favoring Winnipeg. However, we learned that Dalton Schoen is on the 6-game injured list. We learned that Stanley Bryant is going to be missing the game. However, whatever that says and those injuries, the Stamps stomped the Bombers 41-20. And they are 5-1 on the season. Like, really? The one season, rebuild? I have to say, we're a third through the season. They're pretty for real, man.
Oh, 100% they're for real. They're the best team in the league. They have worked on whatever issues they had. It seems like a lot of us thought that the wrong scapegoats were jettisoned, but you cannot argue the Stampeders' defense numbers. Like, they are elite. They had one kind of bad game that kind of threw everything off when it comes to stats wise, like rushing yards and stuff like that. But they just don't allow teams to do anything. They were 6 games into the season, or into the season, and they haven't let a team score more than 1 touchdown in any game. That's crazy. Like, whatever they're doing, I hate it, but good for them. And I just, like I said on Twitter here, like, I was really looking forward to a nice long rebuild, like Patriots fans in the NFL have been enjoying after they had their time. Like, this, we always felt like the Stamps were like the Patriots of the CFL, and it's just like, come on, man. Like, give us one thing here. But no, I'm stoked for VA. I think, like I said, when Calgary was here and they had all that adversity in the smoke game, and for them to come out on top and just destroy the Riders, and then go into Winnipeg and destroy the Bombers. That good teams win when they should and also win when they shouldn't. And I feel like they both kind of won both games when they shouldn't have.
What I like about this is that a lot of Stamp fans, they were really calling for Dickinson to get fired. And I do think continuity is a big thing in these locker rooms, and especially with the coaching staffs. Mike O'Shea, he was on the verge of getting fired. Like, if he didn't win that Grey Cup in 2019, the Bombers probably part ways with him, kind of thing there. And Dave Dickinson last year, a lot of fans thought he was gone, and then a lot of former players were pointing fingers at him, saying that he's the problem in the locker room. He's the culture problem in Calgary. And then we got an email here from Bart, and he says something he noticed in the Stampede Bowl win against Winnipeg was that Dave Dickinson came first out of the locker room. He stood at the 40-yard line as his players came out for the second half, and he made sure that he low-fived every Stamps player. He says he's never seen him do anything like that in the last 10 years, and it shows that he realized that there were some culture issues, and he's making a real effort to changing that. And he also talked about Vernon Adams Jr., and Vernon Adams Jr. in a post-game interview says that he is blessed to be with a team that wants him. And he's said something similar a number of times. And the way that VA has traveled around the CFL, from Montreal to Saskatchewan to Hamilton, back to Montreal to BC, then you think it's his team in BC. Then in the middle of the season, bring back Nathan Rourke. And then we have whatever happened at the end of last year, and he starts the playoff game and then loses in Regina. And then he goes to Calgary, where they definitely, want him. And I have to think that VA has learned a lot along the way. He's found his leadership abilities along the way and brings that experience to him with Calgary, and maybe just a little bit of a chip on his shoulder as well, which sometimes it doesn't seem to be a bad thing. And finally, Bart does say he was shocked that Mark Killam was let go by the Stamps. He could see the reasoning behind Brent Monson, although having success in the Hammer. So maybe it was just the change of scenery there. But he says, when I heard Calgary was bringing in a 70-year-old NFL coach as a defensive coordinator, I figured we were hooped. boy, was I wrong. And that is Bob Slowick at the helm for the Stampeders right now. What a turnaround early on in this season. And they've got rookies contributing. They've got vets contributing. They're firing on all cylinders. It's wild to watch.
It is. I hope that this can somehow give, fans in Edmonton, fans in Ottawa, maybe some, just, let them see that this is possible, and it shouldn't take as long as it is, and maybe it can change in their places too. When you actually reflect, and maybe it was because of these player grades getting publicized at the end of the season, and Calgary and Dave Dickinson just seeing how terrible they graded out by the players, for them to realize that they needed to make a change in the way that they run everything from food to how they take care of their players' families and stuff like that. They got that new turf this year as well, which I'm sure is great for those players. You can't say anything bad about the Stampeders. They are the class of the league right now. They are they're the QB1, like the OTC1, whatever you want to say. The Calgary Stampeders are that team right now, and I just slightly am not as upset as I normally would be about that, just because I kind of respect the game and I respect VA, and I'm glad he's finally getting his fair shake, because he's been jerked around a lot, and there's a lot of like, if you pulled the Twitter right now, what's your favorite CFL player? It would come down to two people. It would be Brady Oliveira and it would be Vernon Adams Jr. I'm pretty sure those are like the top two. Like if you were talking about not your own players kind of thing. And he's built that reputation of just being a hard worker, and in the offseason getting together with his players and being very charitable and just being all in, and finally Calgary has given him that chance. Like we thought BC did, and then they just brought in Nathan Rourke. They could have got a king's ransom for Nathan Rourke's rights, and another team could have bought him, and they could have kept VA, and they probably would have won the Grey Cup last year. So I'm just glad to see VA get this, and hopefully they can. I just want nothing but good things for him. So if it means Calgary has to win a few games for that to happen, I'm wearing red for it. It's all good.
What kind of blew my mind here is that it seemed like there were stretches in this game when Winnipeg couldn't get off the field. Again, like I did think that Calgary's offense would be okay, but Winnipeg's defense, after struggling early on last season, they put it together down the stretch all the way to being able to play in the Grey Cup. But these last couple games here, the secondary's been kind of getting lost, and they had some great games even this year, and they could not get off the field for long stretches at a time in this one, and that's very uncharacteristic from this team. I mean, for Calgary to beat them, the Bombers going into the bye and then coming out of the bye to beat them again in Winnipeg, that's pretty crazy.
Well, it is crazy, but also interesting is because I noticed that too. It seemed like Winnipeg was just letting Calgary drive on them, but they're pretty much dead in the center for time of possession at this game. So wow. It kind of balanced itself out. But Winnipeg has been a very Jekyll and Hyde team this year. They've won when nobody expected them to. The first game of the season with Zach being suspended, and Strevler comes in and he has the game of his life, and they win. And then Zach comes back and it doesn't play as great, and now it just, I know Schoen wasn't playing, I know Stanley Bryant wasn't playing, but they were coming off the bye, and Winnipeg is usually great off the bye, so just for them to let this happen, and it was their 8th consecutive sellout. Like, people were talking about Winnipeg selling out the entire season, and I hope that still happens, but we had another issue here with a quarterback getting injured. We don't know what's going to happen there, but Winnipeg, people were booing. And I know it's when you're used to winning and it's like 36-4, whatever Zach Collaros' record is at in Winnipeg, like when you're used to seeing the teams win 90% of the time, I get it, you're frustrated, but man, you guys have had so much winning. You've had so much good football there. There's a lot of other team fan bases who haven't, and some of those fan bases aren't even booing. So maybe you guys are a little quick to boo. But I understand it being frustrated when, you have these things kind of coming up and you guys feel like you're just at that cusp. And I know, making it to the Grey Cup is great, but not being able to win is frustrating. And I get all of that, but you got to be able to win these games in the regular season and win when you should, when you have a team coming in on a short week who had to stay in dorms and, it's just, it was weird. It was really weird.
It felt like early in the game that Winnipeg was kind of on their heels a little bit. Like it just felt like they were just trying to keep up. And then O'Shea had that challenge on that Dominic Rhymes play, which I thought that was maybe going to stand. I guess I could see why. Maybe there was another camera. I know it did touch the ground. It kind of seemed like he had it in control. But it felt like O'Shea's just trying to slow this down. And hey, the challenge worked in his favor. And then Collaros gets picked off on the next drive. And following that, the Stamps kick a field goal to go up 10-6. But then the Bombers were actually able to take a lead there when they hit Nick Dembski for a touchdown there. And then Vernon Adams Jr. responds, a touchdown of his own, taking a 17-13 lead. And then the next drive, Collaros is picked off again. He's hurt on the play. He gets hit. Looks like he bashed the back of his head off of the turf, and he had to leave the game and didn't return. Chris Strevler was back in there for the Bombers, and they only put up 7 more points the rest of the way. So Collaros did get picked off a couple times there, but I do think that this team wins or loses with Zach and Oliveira there. No disrespect to Strevler. Remember this year, he had like the game of his life earlier this year, and maybe if he gets to be the guy in practice and he gets the full week of preparation, he's going to play well. But unfortunate to see Zach missing the rest of this game, and hopefully not too much time, but he does have a history of head injuries.
Yeah, it's weird because he had a history and he had so many in kind of short time there, and now he's gone like 5 years without, other than I know he had like a sternum issue at one point and he cut his finger in the Grey Cup, but like his head health has been fine, and so yeah, I hated seeing him smack his head on the back of his head on the turf, because as wrestling fans, we see that happen too often when somebody is in the ring, and that happens when they don't tuck their chin, and it's tough for a quarterback to be tucking his chin when he's getting and it was a hard hit, but it was a legal hit. It wasn't late, it wasn't high. It's just kind of the way it happened, and so you feel bad. Hopefully he's able to get back out there soon, because he has unfinished business. I think a lot of they have the Grey Cup at their stadium this year, and so when Calgary's playing as good as they are and the Riders are playing relatively good themselves, could Winnipeg not have a home playoff game the season that they're hosting a Grey Cup? That would be quite the fall from grace. And I know it's way too early to predict something like that, especially with what happened last year. But the cards in the deck are a little bit different this year with Calgary rolling as well as they are.
I think when it was officially done for the Bombers was the third quarter, their first possession. and they go 12 plays, 76 yards, 6.5 minutes off the clock. And then Adrian Green jumps that route, the third interception of the season for him. Remember a couple games ago he had 2 picks. He's got a career high of interceptions already, and there's 12 games to go. He went to St. Mary's. What a pick there, because the Stampeders end up hitting Damien Alford for a 42-yard touchdown. That gave them a 24-13 lead, and then from there, it was done for the Bombers at that point. So for the Stamps to take advantage and get those points off of the turnover, even though they still had to go, 90 yards or whatever it was to complete that drive and get the points off the turnover, that was really where it went down the toilet for the Bombers, and it was done.
Oh, absolutely. That's like a 10-point swing. Like when you're down deep in the opponent's zone and you're in positive points territory and you throw a pick and the other team marches down, like it's demoralizing, and even more so when it's at home, and because the crowd is feeding off that drive and they're getting close to the end zone, and so they may be getting a little bit louder when the catches happen, and then just to see that, and he just jumped that route like really nicely, and I just sat there just like, wow, you can't do that. But yeah, like you said, that's definitely the turning point, and that was the end of the road for the Bombers in this one.
Yeah, because Dom Rhymes gets hit for a touchdown to put up the Stamps, 31-13. Strevy is picked off again after that. And then you knew that the frustration was boiling over for the Bombers. In this game, Willie Jefferson ends up taking a spearing penalty. And that's pretty uncharacteristic for him. Earlier this year, in BC, he got booted from a game. I don't know. Maybe the frustrations are starting to boil over for him a little bit. We don't normally see that for him. It was tough to see.
Yeah. Do you want my rant about spearing now or in the later game?
Well, yeah, maybe we just save that one for the Ottawa Hamilton game. But I think we've gone through what this game had to offer. And this is probably the toughest stretch of this Calgary Stampeders schedule. And they win in Regina, they win in Winnipeg, and now they get to return home. The Montreal Alouettes are going to be visiting McMahon Stadium without Davis Alexander. The Alouettes are still a tough team. They're still going to be a tough task. Slightly shorter week for the Stampeders. But I don't think anything would surprise me with them anymore at this point.
No, when you have, I know Montreal, their defense has been keeping him in it, but if they don't have Davis Alexander, then Calgary is going to be heavy favorites, and I guess you might have to worry about a trap game. But like we both said, I think Dave Dickinson is getting good at getting this culture back, and I don't think he's gonna let his players have that happen to him, and these players are winning, and VA is an amazing leader, and he's not gonna let them squander this. So a tough schedule kind of turns into a little bit of a softer schedule with this unfortunate Davis Alexander injury.
Dedrick Mills 70 yards on 13 carries. Ludovic Choquette 59 yards on 7 carries. And the rookie Damien Alford, 2 catches, 79 yards, 2 catches, 2 TDs for Alford. The 6'6" receiver is contributing a lot, a very valuable member of the team, that first overall pick. But Sheldon, I guess I glossed over it, not intentionally. The ovation that number 85 got at the beginning of the game as the panel was in Winnipeg during his return to the CFL on TSN panel. That was really special. And see, that's another thing. I mean, when that ovation happened and the game started, I'm like, Calgary's in trouble. And they spoiled the party, and they weren't sorry about it at all.
No, I said this about the Fire game, but yeah, it was kind of like, when you have something to rile up the crowd, to get the crowd like a feel good moment, or you're remembering somebody, like I said it before, the Riders, when they were honoring George Reed's life, and then they just laid a stinker. And, Milt being able to make his way back to Winnipeg, a city where, his son lived for quite some time and was raised there, and for him to be able to come back there and get that ovation and get that crowd going, yeah, you just felt like this is gonna, like Calgary, or like Winnipeg was gonna put 40 on the board, not Calgary. And so credit to Calgary for being able to just compete in that environment and not let the crowd take them out of it, because it was a slow start to the game for both teams, but Calgary just ran away with it and kept scoring, and yeah, but again, it was great to see Milt get that reaction, get that ovation, and you could tell how touched he was by it too.
Brady Oliveira had 108 total yards between receiving and rushing yards. Nick Dembski, 7 catches, 146 yards, and a touchdown. Cody Case had 19 yards rushing, 2 catches for 10 yards and a touchdown. However, he did fall and on one of the picks there from Zach Collaros. And if he didn't fall, maybe Zach doesn't throw that first interception. But that's the breaks in football sometimes. And the Stamps are 5-1 on the season. And the only team to beat the Bombers this year, the Bombers are 3-2, third in the West. All of the Bomber games have been inside the division so far. And over the past couple of years, it seems like Winnipeg and Toronto have been their kryptonite. And the Bombers are going to be playing those Argos this weekend. So we'll see what happens in that one. Mm-hmm. So Saturday night, BC Place, the Saskatchewan Roughriders get a 33-27 victory over the Leos. Trevor Harris was just basically he was playing like Superman here. The Riders had the ball for almost 36 minutes. They had over 500 yards of net offense. The Lions defense was giving some teams trouble recently. Not so on Saturday in the Watermelon Smash.
Yeah, it was interesting. I did not have a good feeling about this game for whatever reason. But, the Riders, they came to play the huge first drive, and just shout out to Trevor Harris. This was his, I believe, 8th game in a row where 8th or 9th, I can't remember, but in a row with
it's a CFL record.
70% passing completion. And Trevor has been, for a long time, he's been one of the best quarterbacks, and he's been recognized as one of the highest efficient quarterbacks, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. And so for him to actually have a CFL record is pretty cool, and congrats to him. But almost having, if he wouldn't have been pulled in that last 2 minutes for Tommy Stevens, probably would have had a 400-yard game. And, when Trevor Harris is on like that, as long as the defense is able to keep the other teams out of there, the Riders are going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean, the knock on Trevor Harris has been the big game and the finishing touchdown drives, right? Yeah, basically.
But he's been able to finish drives this year. The Riders' offense has been really, really good outside of the first half against the Calgary Stampeders. They've been rolling. AJ probably didn't have as good of a game as he was hoping for, but 15 carries, 72 yards. A big long, he had a nice long 15-yard run, right on that first series to kind of set the tone for the game. And unfortunately, I guess we should probably get this out of the way. Kadeem Carey came in the game, and you had a really brutal injury. So our thoughts are with Kadeem Carey, and hopefully he's not just for football, but just for life, being able to recover from that one. And
TSN wouldn't even show it, like some of those angles.
Yeah, they showed one time and gave a warning that we were showing it again. And when I first saw it, like I honestly didn't even see the knee or the leg or whatever it was. I just thought he got popped like hard on his like chest area. But yeah, I think there was one clip or something where you could hear him scream, I believe. I haven't heard that, but I just saw that online somewhere. So I don't want to find that. I don't want to hear that, but devastating injury. And but props to him. He didn't want to get carted off. That's not how he wanted to leave that football field.
No kidding.
He powered off, and I don't know how he did that, to be honest.
So this game starts 10-0 Riders before Rourke ever touches the ball. Because they score the touchdown. Then they force a fumble on the ensuing kickoff. Lawther kicks a 45-yard field goal, and we're halfway through the first quarter. It's 10-0 Riders. Rourke hasn't touched the ball yet, and then he comes in. They have a quick, 3-play drive. They're punting it to Saskatchewan. They get the single, and then all of a sudden, AJ Ouellette is in the end zone, and it's 17-1 Riders. Like, what a fast start. No, the Lions were able to respond at that point with an Aiden Eberhardt touchdown to put them down 17-8. But this first quarter from Saskatchewan, that set the tone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and the Riders aren't really known for their hot starts in BC too. It's been a rough few years in BC, and just for them to be able to, like, that's kind of been their bread and butter this year. Most of the games that they have won, they have scored on their first drive, and that's something that it's been a long time since we've had a string of games where that happens in Riderville. So I'm pretty impressed with Mark Mueller's offense so far. A few questionable calls here and there, but I think most of the stuff that I'm kind of not really happy with is the Tommy Stevens package when he's come in to try to kill the games. But I think they're setting that up for something different down the road, so I'm okay with it, even if it's less than flashy right now. But the offense has been great. The defense has been, bending, not quite breaking, but sometimes there's been some leaks for sure. But I thought they played against. They gave a lot of garbage yards and stuff up, and maybe some clock management issues at the end kind of made things get a little closer than they should have. But overall, it was a great game for the Riders.
Here's what I'll ask you about the Riders. Sam Emilis returns to the lineup. He has 2 catches, 78 yards. I mean, was him simply being back? And I know the coaches will tell you, the players will tell you, I'm just doing my 1/12 of the job while I'm on the field. But I don't know if it's a coincidence that he's back and Del Duncan Busby gets 4 catches for 67 yards. Dante Myers has 132, 2 touchdowns. Keyshawn Johnson gets 77 yards. The offense hasn't really been bad without him, but with him in there, it just felt like they were firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and it's interesting because usually he is Trevor Harris's like number 1 target, and so it was kind of interesting to see him only get three targets in this game. But obviously, that kind of shows that BC was kind of probably double covering him and getting people like Deontay Myers and Duncan Busby a little bit more space out there for them to be able to get those balls. So like I said before, the Riders have a really good receiving core right now. They probably have too many good receivers for their own good, and they're gonna have to make some tough choices here. Like they took Picton out for Tommy Neal to play, but then Tommy Neal didn't even get a ball thrown his way. So I was kind of weirded out about that. Maybe they just want to see him on special teams. I don't know, but you have Sean Bain kind of kicking around. He's going to be ready in a few weeks, I think, too. So they got some question marks coming up.
Man, so that's some tough decisions to make. I mean, who comes off?
Well, I think Del Duncan Busby is going to be the odd man out here. I don't like. I know he's a Canadian, but when you have Picton and you have Neal, and you even have Mims, who I think they're really high on. It just he's not quite cracking that lineup yet.
And Schaefer Baker whenever he's ready
and Schaefer
to go.
Baker, yeah, that's the other thing too. But when you have a guy like Joe Robustelli who's come in and just made plays when given the chance, and Dante Myers who makes plays, and Keyshawn Johnson has been that dependable guy who's been getting a lot of second down targets and first downs. I hate to say this. I really hate to say this, and I know a lot of Rider fans are going to kill me on this, but Keon Schaefer Baker might be the guy out.
Wow.
I'm just saying, like, you can't make the team when you're in the tub, and he's missed
sometimes
a lot
the best ability is availability, right? Is that the cliche?
Well, yeah, and like you've seen it. Like we've had, I'm kind of blanking. What was his name? He was with the Riders, and then he couldn't stay healthy, and he went down to the NFL. I'm having such an old man. We cut him. Really nice kid. Jeez, you're not even helping me out on this.
It's not. I'm thinking Jordan Cisco, but it's probably
no. This is more recent. This is more recent. This is
Adjo.
No.
He went to the NFL. He was really nice.
Yeah. No. Canadian.
Adjo. Braden Lennius.
Yes. Sorry, Braden.
Both nice guys, both Canadian, both went to the NFL.
Yes, but one of them was injured a lot, and unfortunately that was Braden Lennius. So I'm seeing kind of the same thing with Keon Schaefer Baker here. Like he's great. When he's in there, he's electric, and he's a Canadian, and I don't want to have a Justin McInnis happen again where you let somebody move on and then they come back to kill you. But when you have like all of these guys in this receivers room, you have to make some tough choices. And Keon Schaefer Baker being like, I don't know if you can call him an elite Canadian receiver right now, but definitely a top Canadian receiver, maybe. He's going to command.
He's got the ability to be.
Yeah,
if he can play.
He's going to be commanding like a higher paycheck than somebody like Joe Robustelli, right? And I'd like to see Joe Robustelli get that kind of high quality paycheck that he could get. But if you can flip Keon Schaefer Baker for a first round pick or something, like, I know there's not a lot of trades often in the CFL, but if that might be the issue here, because you don't want to cut somebody and then get nothing for him, right?
The Riders also get the first 10 points of the second half. Deontay Myers gets that 30-yard touchdown to put him up 30-11, and then they kick a field goal. And then after that point is when the Lions' offenses start to move the ball. They hit Stanley Berryhill III for a touchdown. But then Tavon Campbell with the pick six completely, took the wind out of the sails, right?
Until there was a penalty.
That's true. Baldonado. I thought, oh boy, this is going to be ugly. What a turn of events there. Tavon Campbell takes it to the house, but the Riders are offside, and then Marcus Sales gets a touchdown a few drives later for the Riders. That one, I believe it was it broken up by or deflected by AJ Allen, who he seems to be making plays all over the field for the Riders, and it seems like not many people are really talking about him. He had 6 tackles, 2 knockdowns in this one. And he was close to having another interception earlier in the game. Like, he's playing good football.
Oh, he is. And, Canadian as well. So it's great to have him showing out on the linebacking corps. And the Riders have really good linebacking. They really do. And when everyone is able to make plays like that, tough night for Baldonado because he had a couple other penalties too. And he's been that kind of player who he's a global player but he's playing better than most of the other global players. He's not just a punter from Australia. So I'm really happy with what he's done for the Riders and been able to show, but really costly penalties in this game, so hopefully he can get a lid on that. But like you said, AJ Allen, setting that ball for Marcus Sales to get the interception was awesome. Yeah, when the Riders defense are playing like ball hawks, they are fun to watch. They do get bit every now and then because of the way that they play and how I think they bait the other team's quarterbacks into throwing. But, Tevon Campbell, if it would have counted pick sixes in back-to-back games for him, that would have been pretty incredible. But still incredible play that he made. It just didn't count on the score sheet, unfortunately.
At the end of the game there, about a minute left, Aiden Eberhardt scores his second touchdown of the game. He had six catches, 105 yards for the Lions in this one. They tried the onside kick. It doesn't work, or the short kick, I should say, because all kickoffs are onside, but it didn't work. Riders end up winning. Nathan Rourke, still a decent fantasy day. 27 of 41, 3 TDs, 337 yards, and an interception. Trevor Harris, 395 yards, 3 TDs, 23 of 30. The leading receiver for the Riders, Deontay Myers, 132 yards, 2 TDs, 7 catches on 7 targets, and AJ Ouellette, 15 carries for 72 yards. Now, there were some season series on the line in this week. Does this mean the Riders and Lions won? Is it finished?
It is finished.
It is.
The Riders, yep.
The Stamps
and
win the season series with the Bombers?
The Stamps won the Bombers, and the Alouettes won against the Argos, too.
A third of the way.
All 4 games. All 4 games this week. Season series clinched.
That's wild. A third of the way through the season. The Ticats beat the RedBlacks 30-15. How do you feel about football's football? You gotta win. That's the business. The Ticats get up in this one 10-0. And I just at this point, I'm feeling really bad for Drew Brown. I feel like the poor guy just can't get a break at all here, really. So the Ticats open the game with a field goal, and then a few drives later, Drew Brown does get picked off by Stavros Katsantonis. What a great play he made there. And then Bo hits Kenny the King. Another touchdown for the King. So it's 10-0 in the first quarter. At the beginning of the game, Milt Stegall had a little doll, and he's trying to warn Kenny, stay away from his record. Milt, 23 touchdowns. Kenny on pace for 25. We're a third of the way through the season. But it's a little speck on the horizon. Can he get to that record? He can, but much like when we were talking about Schaefer Baker, he came up. It seems like he's probably got some things going on. His knee, he came up lame. I think he knocked a finger out of place a few weeks ago. If he keeps flying all over the place, he might have to miss a game or two here and there. But that record certainly, I think he has his eyes set on it.
Oh, for sure. He is such an amazing receiver. And not all of those balls that he's caught. He's gotten Bo out of a little bit of trouble in a couple of those catches too. He's as advertised. He's the number 1 receiver in the league. He's the highest paid receiver in the league. And for once, it kind of seems like that is actually balancing out. Like the guy who's getting paid the most is the best. You can't debate it. And if he's able to stay healthy, he will be the MOP this year. I am pretty sure because he's going to get very close to, if not breaking that record, if he is able to stay healthy. Just because him and Bo, every week they're kind of getting more in sync. I know this week was a little bit down, like a little bit less. He only had 3 catches. So that's definitely less, than normal. But when you are still able to haul in those touchdowns and honestly take away, just like Elmelis in the Rider game, he's able to take away some double teams from guys like Tim White, who's able to have a big game, and Keandre Smith, like giving some more open space for them to make some plays too is awesome. And then once the other teams start focusing on them again, Kenny will be open. He's the king. He's gonna the MOP if he stays healthy.
There's always that debate, though. The guy throwing him the ball. I just think that sometimes the voters go for the name recognition. No disrespect to the king, but they'll probably be pretty close in voting if it comes to that. Bo makes it into the top 10 with that touchdown pass to Kenny Lawler. So he does it in style. And then I did like the nice touch. He passes Tracy Ham. Tracy Ham now in 11th all-time passing yards in the CFL as Bo moves into the number 10 spot. But it was early in the second quarter, Sheldon, where Drew Brown, Deshaun Amos had a free shot. And unfortunately, his free shot was taken by putting his head down into Drew Brown's chin. Now, there's a lot of debate. I get it. He should have had his chin strap done up, but we saw it 3 times this week. Marc-Antoine Dequoy had a free shot at Nick Arbuckle. He led with his head. However, Arbuckle, the way he went down, he got hit it looked like the arm or the shoulder or something. Willie Jefferson used his head as a weapon. Deshaun Amos uses his head as a weapon, and Drew Brown is out of the game. It was a 25-yard penalty. They called it a grade 2, I guess, roughing the passer major foul. Still allowed to remain in the game, and that's puzzling to me.
Yeah, it's puzzling to me. You take, like, if you're using your helmet as a weapon and you take another player out of the game, you shouldn't be able to play it in that game. And I've said this online, and there hasn't been much pushback, actually, which is kind of surprising. But in my opinion, if you spear, regardless of intent, regardless of situation, regardless of officials' discretion, if you launch yourself with your head forward like this, you should be ejected from the game. That is how you're going to stop players from doing it. You need to send a message. You can't wait until somebody's knocked loopy, knocked silly. Like, this is not the same game as it was back when Craig Butler popped off Buck Pierce's helmet. Nowadays, same thing that happened to this last weekend. He should have been ejected. We have player, like, you can't feign player safety and then, let this stuff happen. This might be one of those things where I know the CFL has done it and I know it's kind of ticky-tack, but they need to change this rule in season and get it going, because, like, when you guys are when their players celebrating, and I know they're not celebrating an injury, they're celebrating a big hit, and I get that, but he was wrong with how he hit him. And people are saying, oh, if you're going to talk like this, then let's just make him play flag football. No, that's not, like, overreaction theater is ridiculous on this. And also saying that he that Brown himself lowered his helmet to get a penalty. When you have a guy barreling down on you, he had a half fraction of a second to see him because he was coming from the side, and he reacted like anyone who was going to get trauma in their face did by going like this. Like, so we saw Nathan Rourke kind of embellish a little bit on a slide in the Rider game and get that penalty. And so That's fair. If a player is going to hit you when you're sliding, embellish it all you want as the guy taking that hit. That's fine. But when you're getting hit into the head, you're not thinking about, oh, I want to try to get an extra 15 on this play. You're thinking, oh, I don't want to be paralyzed. Like,
this is such a big problem because at some point though, like defensive players, they kind of like need to take responsibility, don't they? I mean,
yeah.
Like, what are we doing here?
When I coach minor football, I teach players to keep their head up when they're tackling. You're supposed to be able to see the numbers when you're tackling. You're not supposed to be looking down at the turf, launching yourself like
Yeah.
a torpedo into somebody's chin and then thinking that that's okay. He's going to get fined. Yeah, he should get suspended. Send a message. Like, ugh.
What really sucks here is that the RedBlacks lose this game, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe they could have won with Drew Brown in there, but another loss, now that means, hey, Bob Dice's job is in jeopardy. So he loses his starting quarterback. The losses maybe continue to mount up for the RedBlacks, and now he's out of a gig. We're like, and now we're gonna have people complaining about the quality of the football again because more backups are in there. But how do you keep the starters on the field? By ending garbage like that. That's and that, like, where else do you talk about the game? The RedBlacks couldn't score a touchdown. They kicked 4 field goals in the second quarter alone. They go into the half trailing, 13-12, and much like, Winnipeg, where, Dustin Crum, like, he's got experience in the CFL, but, and they'll all tell you, I prepared as the starter this week, like, I'm going to get in, but that changed everything for the RedBlacks. And you saw Bob Dice's comments at halftime, too. Quite fired up, and rightfully so for his team. And Drew Brown, the poor guy, just he can't catch a break, man. Like, I know that's pro sports and it's the way it goes, but when it's things that didn't need to happen, it's just infinitely more frustrating.
Yeah, and when you see this, it like kind of glamorizes a little bit, and it brings back those people who are like, we want to see big hits, like the people who are still upset that there isn't as much fighting in hockey anymore. Like, we've moved past this. We've gotten to the point where, we don't need to see people like Kyrie's Ebert like throwing his head at people. Like, I know I joke about Adam Bighill, and sometimes it seems to me like he is spearing when he does his little jump over the pile. But like you should be able to be a professional player, and you should be able to make a tackle or hit a quarterback or sack a quarterback without using yourself as a missile. Wrap up, hit him, take him down. Don't land on him with all of your body. Like, it's simple. We don't need kill shots. You just need to make a play. You need to end that play as a sack, tackle the guy. Like, it's ridiculous.
That's where the game goes. I mean, the RedBlacks were able to move the ball. They just weren't able to finish drives, and that is credit to the Ticat defense. And hey, Deshaun Amos, he's the one that made the hit. He's a veteran in the league. I think he knows better. I don't think we've really seen him do this before. But you can't let him, or it become a habit kind of thing.
Yeah.
The Ticat secondary here was playing out of their minds. And hey, Reggie Stubblefield gets back into the lineup for them. He got back in a few weeks ago, but after leaving Montreal last year, he had 5 tackles here. Jamal Peters, I mean, he's causing trouble. He almost picked off a screen pass. Destin Talbert, the interceptions that first interception he made, wow, like, what a game from him. 2 interceptions. Katsantonis with the interception. Talbot added another 2 knockdowns. Like, that secondary, a lot of times, the front supports the secondary and can make them look better than they are. But I think this Ticats secondary is they're playing some of the best football in the entire league right now.
Oh, 100%. They've been able to get takeaways. They've been able to knockdowns. Like, the other teams are not having fun when they're playing against the Hamilton Ticats, especially over these last 4 games where they've won all of them.
Yeah, Dustin Crum did go 16 of 22. He had an interception, 149 yards passing. On the ground, Daniel Adebaboye, 4 carries, 54 yards. And the leading receiver for the RedBlacks, Khalil Pimpleton, 5 catches, 56 yards. There was a play he made in the second half where it looked like he caught the ball pretty close to the sideline. He turned on a dime and got another 15 yards. A lot of guys will just be able to run out of bounds at that point. Man, he turned that at a 90-degree angle, and he's an impressive player. They need to keep finding ways to get the ball into his hands no matter where he is on the field. For the Ticats, Tim White, 89 yards receiving. Keandre Smith, a nice game for him, 3 catches, 81 yards. But the Ticats were spreading the ball around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different receivers targeted. O'Leary Orange didn't make a catch, but 9 receivers with a catch. And Johnny Augustine, 18 carries for 85 yards. And the Ticats win 30-15. And the RedBlacks fall to 1-6. A team that I had in the Grey Cup, Sheldon. Unfortunately, they're now without their starting quarterback. We don't know for how long, but Brown already did miss a few games this year with a hip injury, getting tackled earlier this year. It's tough. It's unfortunate, but the Ticats now at the top of the East Division, tied with the Alouettes, but the Ticats sit on top and the Stampeders sit on top, just like we had it all drawn up in May.
Oh, yeah. We, I got nothing. I thought they'd be on the top of the losers board.
Well, I'm pretty sure I can be quoted as saying both the Ticats and the Stamps defense are going to suck and the offenses might be okay. So far, hey, the offenses are great, but so are the defenses, and that's why those 2 teams are winning games right now.
Yeah. I'm speechless. Like, I really am. Like, I knew VA was going to make the offense better. I did know that, and it provided he stays healthy. I did not expect them to be able to just punish teams on defense, and even just these huge games against tough opponents in their own places that are hard to play with extenuating circumstances, and they're still like, nah. You can have 1 touchdown. That's it. Like, it's just, they're like the bully on the playground who's like, who wants next? Like, yeah. It's crazy. I'm happy for some people who cheer for those teams.
Some people.
Some people.
Hey, do we want to go through CFL Fantasy this week?
Let's just say you're good. You had a good week. I had a terrible week. You're second place in our Patreon league. I'm last place in the Patreon league. So I'm not getting a jersey. But.
So the exclusive Patreon league started last week, and I'm like, I got to shape up or ship out here because things aren't looking good for me. So I had 119 points on the week. Avi is number 1 with 122.7. So I'm down by 3.6. I'm trying to defend somebody from winning a CFL jersey. I like being like the final boss, like Bowser, you know, you're trying to run across the lava and I just, You're going into the lava. No jersey for you. But that also means a victory for me in the CFL Podcast Fantasy League. Unfortunately, a loss for Sheldon Jones. But hey, hopefully I can turn this victory into another, because I was 1-5 on the young season. I'm looking to make a comeback like the 2011 BC Lions. That's where I'm gaining my experience and my inspiration from. Nathan Rourke was my quarterback and my captain, so 48.6 points. Brady Oliveira, 15.8 is my running back. Sean Thomas Erlington, 11.6. That's why I was so rattled the Alouettes weren't giving him the ball, but he did get a touchdown in there. Stanley Berryhill III, 19.9 points. He had a touchdown. Justin Hardy, 9.7. Carrick Wheatfall, 12.4. And the BC Lions, 1 point. It helps when my quarterback finishes the game and gets more than 3.7 points. Like, it's actually... And my starting running back had more than 0.4 points. So it's wild what that does for your fantasy week, Sheldon.
It's wild. It's very wild. And I don't want to talk about mine. I left Wickton in there. I forgot to take him out. Again, we're on to next week. We'll try it again. But... I don't know what happened, man. I had one good week in fantasy. One good week the first week, and that's like...
And thanks to the Montreal Alouettes, otherwise I would have had an 0-4 week in pickup. Like, it's just one of those weeks, man.
Yeah.
One of those weeks.
I was here, but everywhere else I was 4-0 because I actually took the Riders, and my other ones I changed
4-0
after. Yeah.
Wow.
No, because I had Winnipeg winning. Never mind. 3-1 with the 3-1.
Okay.
My bad. I forgot about that.
Congrats to HB Sauce. We'll be in touch. We'll send you to a CFL game this year. It's Travis Currah, Sheldon Jones. It's the 2 and Out CFL podcast. Week 7 of the CFL season is in the books. We will be back later this week to get you primed for Week 8.
The 2 and Out CFL podcast is written, produced, and hosted by Travis Currah and co-hosted by Sheldon Jones. Subscribe to 2 and Out on all major podcast platforms and YouTube to keep up to date with future shows.